Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Native English Podcast, brought to you by Native English Stories. I'm Sarah.
And I'm John. We are genuinely so happy to have you hanging out with us today.
Whether you're listening at home, on your daily commute, during a lunch break, or even right before bed, thank you for choosing to learn with us. It really does mean the world to us.
Today's topic might look small on the surface, but it's actually incredibly powerful once you start using it in everyday English.
Exactly. We're diving into modal verbs, those little words like can, should, must, might, and would.
They seem simple enough, right? And in a way they are, but they have this amazing ability to completely change the meaning and the vibe of a sentence.
A lot of learners feel a bit shaky about which one to pick and when to use it. So today, our goal is to make modal verbs clear, easy, and most importantly, practical.
No heavy textbook explanations here, and definitely no confusing grammar jargon. Just real English for real situations to help you build that speaking confidence.
And before we jump into the examples, if you enjoy this relaxed and natural way of learning, please give this episode a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who's also on their English journey.
You know, Sarah, it's funny. Yesterday, someone messaged me and asked, "Can I ask you something about English?"
And they used can perfectly without even overthinking it.
Exactly. They didn't stop to think, wait, which modal verb fits here? It just came out naturally, and that is exactly what we want for all of you.
These words are absolutely everywhere. We use them constantly in almost every conversation we have.
But the second a learner hears the term modal verbs, it suddenly feels like a scary mountain-sized grammar lesson.
Haha, right? The label makes it sound so much more intimidating than it actually is.
So let's start with a very simple idea. Think of modal verbs as helping verbs. They just sit right before the main action and give your sentence a little extra meaning. Let's look at how that works.
They can show ability. They can show permission. They can show advice. They can show possibility or obligation.
And here is one rule that is worth holding on to from the very beginning. After a modal verb, we always use the base form of the main verb.
Not the verb with S, not with ing, not the past tense, just the simple base form.
So, I can speak English, not I can speaks English.
She must go now, not she must goes.
They should practice daily, not they should practiced.
This one rule fixes so many common mistakes. Keep it in your mind throughout this whole episode.
Let us start with can. We use can to talk about ability, something you are actually able to do.
I can drive. She can cook. They can play basketball. Very straightforward.
Let us make it personal. John, can you cook?
Haha, I can cook, yes, but only fairly simple things. Nothing too ambitious.
That absolutely counts. Can you dance?
I can dance a little, not professionally by any means.
See how natural that sounds? Listeners, think about yourselves right now. What can you do?
Say it out loud wherever you are. I can swim. I can speak 2 languages. I can play an instrument. Saying things out loud builds real confidence.
Now, the negative, we say cannot, or in everyday speech, we say can't.
I can't drive yet. She can't come today. They can't understand the lesson.
And notice the structure stays the same. Can't understand, not can't understands.
Base verb always.
For questions, we move can to the beginning of the sentence. Can you help me?
Can she join the meeting? Can they finish the project on time?
And here is something very important. We do not use do or does with modal verbs, so we never say, do you can swim?
That is incorrect. The correct form is simply, can you swim? Modal verbs are already helping verbs. They do not need any extra helper.
Now here is another very useful way we use can, for permission in everyday situations.
Can I use your charger? Can I sit here? Can I ask you something?
Very common at school, at work, at a cafe, in a meeting, all the time.
Some people say may is more formal for permission, and that is true. May I come in sounds a little more official.
But in everyday natural English, can I come in is completely normal and perfectly fine.
Imagine you were late to a class or a meeting. You knock on the door and say, "Can I come in?" And the teacher or manager says, Yes, you can. Simple, real, and natural.
Now, here is something worth thinking about. Many learners say to themselves, I can't speak English.
But sometimes that's not actually true. Sometimes they can speak, they're just afraid.
So instead of saying, I can't speak English, try, I'm still learning, or I can speak a little and I'm improving.
That small change in the words you use also changes your mindset completely. Modal verbs do not just change grammar, they change how you think about yourself.
Let's create a short story. When I was a child, I could not ride a bicycle at all.
But you learned eventually, right?
Yes, at first I couldn't balance properly. I kept falling, but I practiced every day that summer.
And now?
Now I can ride confidently without even thinking about it.
And that's exactly how English works. At first, you can't speak smoothly, but with daily practice, you can.
And one day you will say, I can speak English fluently, and you will actually believe it.
Let's do a quick repeat practice. Everyone say these with us. I can improve.
I can practice every single day.
I can make mistakes and learn from them.
I can speak English. Good. Now let's move to a word that looks very similar to can. Could.
Many learners think could is just the past form of can, and sometimes, yes, it is, but not always.
That's where things get interesting. Let's start with past ability. We use could to talk about something we were able to do in the past.
When I was younger, I could run really fast. When I was a child, I could stay up all night with no problem. Haha, those were the days.
Notice the structure, subject plus could plus base verb, not could ran, just could run.
Let us make it personal. John, could you ride a bike when you were a young child?
Actually, no, I couldn't. I was too nervous about falling, but eventually I got there.
Could not or couldn't is the negative form. I couldn't understand the lesson yesterday. She couldn't make it to the event.
Very simple structure, and again, the verb stays in base form after the modal.
Now here's another important use of could. Polite requests.
Could you help me with this? Could you open the window, please? Could you explain that again?
This sounds softer and more polite than can you help me? It's very useful in professional situations or when speaking to someone you don't know well.
Imagine you are at a hotel. You say to the person at the desk, could you bring me an extra towel, please? Very natural and very polite.
Or in a work meeting, could you go over that point again? I want to make sure I understood correctly.
Could you is genuinely one of the most useful polite phrases in everyday English right now.
And could also shows possibility. It could rain this afternoon. She could be at home. It could work.
This means something is possible but not certain. It's weaker and less definite than will.
It will rain sounds very sure. It could rain means maybe. That's a meaningful difference.
Now let's look at may. We use may for formal permission.
May I come in? May I ask a question? May I see that document?
This sounds more formal and careful than can I come in. It's often used in professional or academic settings.
We also use may for possibility. She may come to the event tonight. We may travel this summer.
It means it's possible, not 100% certain. Maybe yes, maybe no.
And then there's might. Might is very similar to may, but sometimes feels a little less certain.
It might rain tonight. I might go to the gym later. I might apply for that new job.
Let's compare quickly. She may come. That feels like a reasonable possibility.
She might come. That feels slightly less sure, maybe a bit more doubtful.
But in modern, everyday English, many people use them almost interchangeably.
So don't overthink it. If you're unsure which to use between may and might, either one will work in most conversations.
Communication always matters more than technical perfection.
Let us create a little story using these words together. Yesterday, I couldn't find my headphones anywhere.
Oh no, where did you look?
I thought they could be in my gym bag, but they were not there.
Maybe they fell somewhere.
Then I thought they may be in the kitchen. Still nothing. Finally, I said, they might be under the sofa cushions.
And were they?
Yes, right there under the cushion. Haha. So in that one short story, we used couldn't, could, may, and might all completely naturally.
Wow, that is such a good example.
Now, let us look at some common mistakes before we move on.
Mistake 1. Adding to after a modal. I could to help. That is wrong.
Correct. I could help. No to needed.
Mistake 2. Changing the verb form. She might goes. That is incorrect.
Correct. She might go. Always base verb.
Mistake 3. Using do with modals. Do you could help me. That is wrong.
Correct. Could you help me? Modal verbs handle the sentence themselves. No extra do needed.
Now let us move into stronger territory. Modal verbs that show advice and obligation. These are really powerful in daily English.
Let us start with should. We use should to give advice or make a recommendation.
You should practice speaking every day. He should get more sleep. You should not skip breakfast.
Structure, subject plus should plus base verb. Not should practices, just should practice.
Let us make it real. Sarah, I've been feeling really low on energy lately. What should I do?
You should try going to bed at a consistent time each night, and you should drink more water throughout the day.
Simple and natural advice. Listeners, ask yourself, what should you do to improve your English this week?
You should practice a little every day. You should listen to English in your free time. You should speak even when you feel nervous.
The negative form is should not or shouldn't. You shouldn't compare yourself too harshly to others. He shouldn't avoid speaking just because he might make mistakes.
Very common in everyday life. Very useful in conversations about well-being, habits, and decisions.
Now let us move to must. Must is stronger than should. We use must when something is very important or necessary.
You must wear a seatbelt in a car. I must finish this before the deadline. She must see a doctor about that.
Let us compare them clearly. You should exercise more. That's friendly advice.
You must exercise. That sounds serious. Maybe a doctor is saying it after some test results.
Exactly. Should equals a good idea. Must equals this is really important and necessary.
We also use must for strong personal decisions and determination. I must start saving money. I must improve my English this year. It shows real commitment.
Now, the negative form, mustn't, is very strong. You mustn't smoke in here. You mustn't share that password. This means it is not allowed. It is forbidden. Completely different meaning.
Same surface structure, but opposite meanings, so please pay attention to that difference.
Now, have to. We use have to when the obligation comes from an outside rule or requirement, not your own personal decision.
I have to wake up at 6 every morning, not because I want to, but because my work starts early.
You have to wear a uniform at school, because it is the rule of the institution.
Compare, I must exercise. That is my own strong personal choice and determination.
I have to exercise. My doctor told me. It's coming from outside of me.
In daily casual conversation, many people use them in similar ways, but knowing the distinction helps your English sound more precise and natural.
Now let us move into would. We use would for polite offers and requests.
Would you like some coffee? Would you like me to help with that? Would you prefer to meet in the morning?
Very polite, very smooth. You hear this constantly in professional settings and customer service right now.
We also use would in imaginary or hypothetical situations. I would travel everywhere if I had more time. She would buy that apartment if she could afford it.
These sentences are not about real plans. They're about imagination. The if part signals that.
Now let us mix all of these modal verbs together the way they appear in real life, because in real conversation, we do not use them one by one in isolation.
Imagine you are at work. Your manager says, you must finish this report before 5 today.
Strong obligation. You reply, of course, but could you clarify this section for me first?
Polite request. A colleague walks by and says, you should take a break after that. You've been sitting there for hours.
Advice. You say, I can't right now. I have to send this update email first.
external obligation. And all of that sounded completely natural. Multiple modal verbs in one short, realistic exchange.
Now, imagine a conversation with a friend. Your friend says, I might move to a different city next year.
Possibility. You reply, really? That could be an amazing experience.
Another possibility. Then you say, you should think it through carefully before deciding, though.
Advice. Your friend says, you're right. I must make the right decision for my life.
Strong personal determination. One short conversation, so many modal verbs, all completely natural.
Let us do one final story that brings everything together beautifully.
A year ago, I couldn't speak English confidently. I would freeze in conversations.
Past inability. Go on.
I thought I might never become truly fluent. I had real doubts.
That feeling of doubt is so real for so many learners.
But then I told myself I must try, not just sometimes, every day.
Strong determination.
I knew I should practice speaking even when it felt uncomfortable, so I started talking to myself in English, listening to podcasts, watching shows without subtitles.
Good advice turned into good action.
Sometimes I didn't feel motivated at all, but I would show up anyway and practice for at least 10 minutes.
Consistent habit.
And now I can speak with so much more confidence, and I know I can keep improving.
Wow, that story used past ability, doubt, determination, advice, habits, and presentability, all through modal verbs. That's genuinely beautiful.
Modal verbs are not just grammar tools. They carry emotion and personality and meaning.
When you say I can, you show confidence. When you say I must, you show real determination. When you say I should, you show thoughtfulness and wisdom.
And when you say I might, you show that you are open to possibilities. That is not uncertainty, that is flexibility.
Now it's your turn. Answer these out loud. What can you do now that you couldn't do a year ago?
What should you do this week to improve your English?
What must you change in your daily routine to move forward?
So here's a thought to leave you with. What might happen if you practiced your English consistently for the next 3 months?
And what would you do if you woke up tomorrow and could speak English with total fluency?
Seriously, pause this episode right now and actually answer those questions out loud. Speaking out loud is where the real magic and learning happen.
If today's breakdown helped you get a better grip on modal verbs, please give us a like, share the episode, and subscribe to the podcast.
Always remember, you can improve. You should practice every day, and you must believe in yourself.
And honestly, one day, very soon, you will be speaking English with total confidence and ease.
Also, if you want a quick exercise of the modal verbs we covered today, check out the pinned comment below. It's a little exercise for your brain to practice.
We'll see you in the next episode. Keep learning and just keep going.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.